And this week we continue with some more updates. So join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at 6-month, 1-year, and 2-year Hoya updates. And before we get started, I'm happy to take this opportunity to send out a special thanks to SoFlo Lisa, who bought me coffees this past week. Your contributions to the channel make a lot of things possible and keep me in Hoya, Dischidia, technology, and infrastructure. So thank you very much for your support. Nothing in bloom this week, although I'm hoping next week Cordata and what was the other one? Cordata and Mirabilis. I have 2 Mirabilis, one there and one over here, and they're both loaded with buds right now, so fingers crossed for next week. But I did have to do an emergency intervention with my Hoya clemenciorum. I just happened to look down when I was gathering plants together for this, and this gorgeous new leaf was wedged inside the trellis, as was this gorgeous new leaf. So I had to cut my trellis apart. There's a new vine taking off too. That's very cool. So yeah, these are like, you either love these kind of leaves or you don't. They're rigid, they're like plastic. And the characteristics, the detail and stuff on them is just so very cool. So yeah, I gotta work this. I don't want to scratch any of these leaves, but yeah. So that was like, oh no, I have to do something about that. This is Hoya clemenciorum. And the first 6-month Hoya is Hoya chloroleuca. Now, chloroleuca is native to New Guinea, which means Papua in Indonesia, and the nation of Papua New Guinea. It was first published in 1913 in the Botanische Jahrbucher für Systematik, Pflanzengeschichte und Pflanzengeographie, or the Botanical Yearbooks for Systematics, Plant History, and Plant Geography by Friedrich Richard Rudolf Schlechter. And this has done pretty well. I should have a picture about now, or shortly after this, not after this video, but after this moment, which is later, of what it looked like when it showed up. And it came as a pretty darn full plant. And it has stayed. It was not happy about traveling, but it has done pretty well. There's a new leaf in there, right in there. So yeah, there's a new vine down here. I think he has adapted to being here. So it's done okay. I'm fairly pleased. The leaves are kind of simple. They're on the low end of firm. It's a thin-leafed Hoya, at least what I would call a thin-leafed Hoya. And I got it for the blossoms because they're this bright kind of lime green color that in the center, which just it reminded me of Bella, but with a lime green center. So it was like, that's very cool. It hasn't bloomed yet, but you know, there's new growth, new vine here, right there, and new leaves there. So I think he's okay. Yeah, I can't wait to see what he's up to in another 6 months. This one came from my friends at North Austin Plant Co., and you can find them on Palm Street. And this is Hoya chloroleuca. And also here for 6 months is my little Hoya exilis. Now, Hoya exilis is native to New Guinea, which again is Papua in Indonesia and the nation of Papua New Guinea. It too was published in 1913 in the Botanische Jahrbucher für Systematik, Pflanzengeschichte und Pflanzengeographie by Friedrich Richard Rudolf Schlechter. And the notes on the herbarium sheet just say N-G-U-I-N, so New Guinea. That's my guess. This has done pretty well. Trying to negotiate the lights and everything else. So there's some new leaves in there. And there's new leaves waiting to come out all along this vine. This vine had gone off on a little adventure all its own. So we pulled it back and said, no, 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 go this way. Come with us. I got this because the blossoms are supposed to be absolutely beautiful. It, of course, has not bloomed for me yet. And this is my second try with exilis. The first time I got a cutting, an unrooted cutting from somebody else, from a different seller. It just didn't like traveling. It didn't like being here. It was just not a happy plant. And compost. So this one I got as a rooted cutting. And yeah, it's also a thin-leafed Hoya. And I'll put some close-ups of the leaves over here. There's a slightly recessed central rib with some raised veins on each side of it. There's sort of a short lancelet shape. I think it's going to be very pretty. It's not found, well, it might have found the wick, but it hasn't found the reservoir. And it's currently living down here in the fallout from these grow shelves and seems to be doing okay. I might have to move it because there's a couple of rows in front of that shelf. So I might have to move it a little bit closer to the shelf to get a touch more light, but the color of the leaves is really nice. They're beautiful dark green, so I kind of like that. And it's doing okay. I have it planted in pumice since it came to me that way. And yeah, I'm pleased. 6 months, hasn't died, putting out new growth. Oh my goodness. I think, let's see if I think that in there is a peduncle. I'll put a close-up of it because it's tiny. And I could be deluding myself, but if I were a peduncle, that's where I would show up. So either that or it's a new branch, but I'm thinking pedunculage. So yeah, that's very cool. Very excited about this. So far, no trauma, no drama. It's doing well, and we're happy about that. This one also came from my friends at the North Austin Plant Company. You can find them on Palm Street. And this is Hoya exilis. Back when I was figuring out just what an Oreosparte was, my friends at North Austin Plant Company were very helpful and were sending photos back and forth and comparing things. And they mentioned that they had something that looked like my species, Papua, Oreosparte species Papua, but that the leaves were round. And would I be interested in looking at a cutting of it? And of course I said yes. So they sent that along. So this is species Oreosparte. It's native to Malaya and Sarawak and Sabah in Malaysia, to Kalimantan and Sulawesi in Indonesia. It was first published in 1916, the genus Oreosparte, in Beihefte zum Botanischen Zentralblatt, Abteilung 2, Systematik Pflanzengeographie angewandte Botanik, Kassel, Dresden. And that's Supplements to the Botanical Central Journal, Section 2, Systematics, Plant Geography, and Applied Botany. And it was published by Friedrich Richard Rudolf Schlechter. So, in the intervening few months, the cutting has done okay, and you can see those leaves are, but how much water do I have? No, it's not much, okay. So, you can see those round leaves. But the new leaves that have come in are not at all round. And it's a new vine coming out of that original in there. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm talking to North Austin now. Yeah, my new leaves do not look round at all. They look like the monster over here. And do I have another one? I think I may have another one of these someplace. Yeah, so they've gone back to that kind of teardrop-shaped leaf. Let's see if I can do this like that. And lost some of their roundness. If this one's the same species as my monster over here, this is going to be fine. This grows like a beast. It's a beautiful little small-leafed Hoya. Small-leafed Hoya. It's a little Oreosparte that's fuzzy all over. I've got some close-ups I'll put in, and has just grown a treat for me. I've got no complaints with this one or the monster over there. It's just huge. It has bloomed for me, and I'll have to go over and look shortly and see. But if you happen to see it, this was sometimes sold as Papua Hoya species 01. It's not a Papua Hoya. It's an Oreosparte. Yeah, for me, it just grows like a weed. It's just been amazing. So this has been very much fun. Thanks to the folks at North Austin Plant Company for working with me on figuring this out. This is Oreosparte species, sometimes referred to as roundleaf, and this one came from North Austin Plant Co., and you can find them on Palm Street. Now the first one that's been here for a year, and this is a little Dischidia. This is Dischidia vidalii, sometimes referred to as pectinoides, but it's vidalii. Now it was native to the Philippines and was first published in 1886 in Malaysia by Eduardo Beccari. And then it was published as vidalii, and then in 1902, it was published as Pectinoides by Henry Harold Welsh Pearson in the Botanical Journal of the Linnean Society. But because it had already been published as vidalii, that's its actual name in the plant world. This has done okay. No complaints. It seems a delicate Dischidia. And I think it would be happier climbing on bark or something like that. It has little tiny adventitious roots, which you may be able to see in there. Cute little leaves, which, there we go. That should be in focus. And I'll put some close-ups. And it also develops a specialized leaf, one that grows larger and then opens up. And in that space inside the leaves, ants live. And they'll find these, because Dischidia are often called ant plants. So the ants will live inside that opened up leaf, and it gives the ants protection from weather and from predators. And when the ants, that's not a good word, no, I'm going through words. When the ants leave their waste, they leave it inside those leaves, and that helps fertilize the plant. So they have a symbiotic relationship. This is done okay. As I said, there's a peduncle. Oh, maybe. Oh, there's another one. Fingers crossed for me. This struck me as being very delicate when it first showed up. There's no firmness to the vines. You know, with some of the small-leafed Hoyas, even though they're tiny leaf, when you feel those vines, there's some substance to them. Not so much with these. These are rather limp, flaccid, something along those lines. but it's pretty and it's growing. Right now it's living down here in the fallout from this grow shelf, and I've got it pulled back a little bit. I don't think those leaves would appreciate being blasted with light. Even then, they're kind of pale, and it's not in the front row, so it's getting a little bit of shelter from some other plants. But it survived. It's not dead. It's an interesting Dischidia. I don't have one like it. It needs some trellising attention. I've been doing trellising attention a lot lately, it seems. And it's doing okay. So this has been kind of fun. If only for that large leaf. It did have one, but that vine died back. But these others all seem to be doing pretty well. No sign of roots. And there's moisture. Yay! Anyway, I'm happy with this one. This one's been kind of fun. This came from Planting Stuff on Etsy. And this is Dischidia vidalii, sometimes referred to as pectinoides. The next one-year resident is a Hoya carnosa compacta. Now, carnosa is native to South Central and Southeast China and Hainan Island in China, to Japan, Laos, the Nansei Shoto in Japan, and to Taiwan. But that doesn't have much to do with this particular variety. This is a mutant, and it was approved in 1980. It was developed by irradiation of rooted cuttings of carnosa with gamma rays or X-rays. And that produced those interesting leaves. It was first published in 1991 in Hoyan by Christine M. Burton. And I bought this one about 2 months after I bought my outer variegated. And they get essentially identical care. Similar lighting, similar food, similar setup. But the results have been very different. So this is the solid green one. This is the outer variegated. That's mostly new growth. From there down is mostly new growth. From here down is new growth. The variegated one, the outer variegated, has done very, very well. And I had mentioned that before, and a couple of you sent in a comment saying that they had had similar experiences, that their outer variegated one grew like a treat, and the green one was just kind of really, really slow. I have not had any pest issues on either one of these, and I've been looking because they have a reputation. They have a reputation as a pest magnet, and it's not that they attract more pests than any other Hoya. It's just that with all the nooks and crannies in this, it would be difficult to see it until it's turned into a full-blown infestation. But fortunately, that has not happened with these. And I've been trying to keep an eye on them because I don't need any more issues with mealybugs. So it's fun. It's interesting. I think if I were going to get the solid green one again, I would try for a larger plant because this has done very little in 1 year. It's in pond. It's in a self-watering pot. It lives on the bottom shelf of this grow shelf. And the variegated one lives right about there on that shelf. So the lighting is very similar. The attention is very similar. There's just a difference in the growth pattern. No trauma, no drama, no pest issues so far. So yeah, no issues with this one, but it's just not as interesting as the other one. This one came from Jordan's Jungle in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And this is Hoya carnosa compacta. And also here for a year is Hoya species Papua IM08 PNG. Now the PNG at the end stands for Papua New Guinea. The IM stands for Imran La, who's a collector. And so this is one of his discoveries. It's native to Papua New Guinea, where it seems to be endemic, meaning everywhere. And this little puppy I got because Doug Chamberlain recommended it, talked about how beautiful it was. And it's a nice little plant. Those leaves are, keep running into the lights overhead, but those leaves are very, very pretty. They are, not quite, I wouldn't call them rigid or even firm. Well, yeah, they're firm. They seem to be slightly pubescent on the bottom. They've got a nice little squat lanceolate shape. And this one just grows. This is just done really, really well. You can see it trying to work its way up that little, up there. So I got to have another little intervention and get this going around a little bit more. But it has done pretty well. I should have a photo over here of what this looked like when it arrived, if I was being good that day. It's just done really well. It's branched there. It's branched here. So it seems a steady and ready grower. It's got those great little tiny leaves on there and there and there. So it's a happy little plant. It lives over here on the desk, right about there, right in there. And so it gets some fallout from this shelf, and it gets some indirect light through the northeast window, which is what that is behind the lamp. So I'm happy with it. No issues. It's a cute little, as you'll see, I was in a little leafed Hoya phase for a while, thinking that they would take up less room, which of course is not true because they grow and then they turn into big plants. But yeah, this has done very well. Most everything from here on up is new growth since it arrived. So yeah, it hasn't bloomed yet. The blooms are supposed to be really cool, but you haven't bloomed yet for me. It might want slightly more light. I'm thinking of putting in another set of shelves right over here, so maybe he'll get moved over to there to get a little bit more light. We'll see. We'll see. No complaints, no trauma, no drama, no pest issues. It has not apparently found the reservoir, though it may have found the wick. It's growing in my generic pond with a little bit of pumice mixed in and a self-watering pot with nutrient solutions. So yeah, no issues, no problems. This has been cool. And those leaves are just kind of really neat. This one came from Hoya Treasures on their website. And this is Hoya species Papua IM08 PNG. And next up, also here for a year, is Hoya engleriana, another part of that small-leafed Hoya binge. Now, Hoya engleriana is native to Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam. The herbarium the herbarium sheet has the note Siam, which means it was probably discovered by Westerners in Thailand. And it was first published in 1907 in Notizblatt der Königlichen Botanischen Gartens und Museum zu Berlin by Karl Kurt Hoseus. Now, I have notes in my a paragraph in my notes that says, Hoya engleriana is a very small-leafed Hoya from Thailand that has expanded its range to Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. It is found in mountainous regions that are often fog and mist-shrouded. And it was named after Dr. Engler, who was a famous editor of botanical yearbooks. Now, reading that, it makes it sound like when they first discovered it, it was only in Thailand and has since spread. My take on it is that it's probably that it already grew in those places. And it wasn't like it's, progressed in 100 years, it's suddenly taken over Southeast Asia. I don't think so. I think it was probably always there. Anyway, the leaves are very neat. They're very pretty. They're much more lanceolate. And I'll put some close-ups because I'm running into the lighting. Very cool. Someone asked me the difference between engleriana and vacciniioides, which I also have. Is that vacciniioides? Yeah. And I would be hard-pressed to explain precisely what the difference is. From everything I can find out, they are two distinct species. They live in the same vicinity. Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos. And this one needs trellising work too. While they are similar, here you go. While they are similar in appearance, to me, the engleriana leaves are a little bit narrower. They have a slightly recessed central rib, and they are plump. They look thin and delicate, but when you feel them, it's like, there's some, for a little leaf, it's got some bulk. It's putting out a new vine in here. That's a new vine. It branched readily right away. It's branched a couple times. It's doing very well. Oh boy, you do need some attention. Okay, put that on my to-do list. But it's grown really well. I should have a picture of what it looked like when it first arrived. So that kind of growth, let's see if I can do my paper trick again. That kind of growth in such a short time frame, a year, yeah, that's okay. Happy with this one, it's very cool. Hasn't bloomed, but it's given me no grief whatsoever. This one also came from Hoya Treasures on their website, and this is Hoya engleriana. The first 2-year resident is my Hoya acicularis. Now, acicularis is native to the Danum Valley in Sabah, and it's also native to Brunei, and it's native to that part of the island only. It was first collected in 2002 and published in 2003 in Fraterna by Ted Green and Robert Dale Kloppenberg. And I am told that this species is distinct from every other species on Borneo. And the name comes from the Latin acicul, which means needle-like. And boy, oh boy, does it deserve that name. Let's try the white paper thing. It's just very, very cool. The first time I saw one of these, probably on Miro's channel, as we all did. Not that we all saw this, but we all saw a lot of new stuff on Miro's channel. I was just blown away. It's like, I need one of those. Now, this particular leaf I'm looking at is 3.5 or 9 centimeters, but this leaf in here is easily, I'm not going to try and straighten it out, but I'm going to say 8.5 or 21.5 centimeters. They are very, very narrow. They are very, very cool. I'm trying to get, if I can do this. I will put close-ups. They form a V shape, so there's the center is recessed slightly. I can't see, well, maybe there's some slight veining, but there's no real ribs or veins that you can see. And I originally started this one out and I was going to have it trail, similar to what my retusa looks like. But very quickly I realized that that was not a good idea. And so I changed its orientation to have it grow. And from here on up is new growth within the past few months. There's a bunch of new leaves. It's starting to fill out very, very nicely. It's very, very cool. It's just, you know, I always say if you find people who tell you that they don't like Hoya because they all look alike, no, they don't. No, they don't. And they are, oh, look at that one. How did you get, which one is this? How did you, oof. Yo. Okay, cool. That was like 3 or 4 inches long, wedged in there. This has done very well. I should have pictures of what it looked like when it showed up, and I will put them over here. And it's just a cool plant. I think it's going to look very neat climbing. It would look gorgeous trailing. It really would. But trailing does not always work well for me. It takes up the same amount of room, but at least going upwards, I have a little bit more control over it. Whereas when it just tumbles off the edge, it gets in the way of other stuff. It just, you know, and I have limited space to hang things. So not that I don't have all ceilings, but you know, you know what I mean. Anyway, this has been very cool. It's done very well. There is one leaf that has some damage from flat mites when I had my flat mite outbreak. And other than that, it survived that with no difficulties whatsoever. Not fussy, not difficult. It currently lives, this one lives over on a grow shelf and it's approximately, say 45 centimeters or 12, 16, 18 inches from the grow light. I mean, the grow light clears the top of this optimistic trellis. So yeah, it gets decent bright light. Not growing directly under it yet. That will be an issue at some point. It has found the wick. A little bit too much moisture, as if that's ever a thing. It has found the wick. It's doing really well. It has not bloomed yet, but it doesn't have to. It's cool. You know, it doesn't have to be, doesn't have to give me flowers. It's cool. This one came from Plant Haven, Toronto, and this is Hoya acicularis. The next 2-year resident is my Hoya species Lai Chau longleaf. Now I can't find any specific reference to where Lai Chau is, like this plant is from that place. I did find a Lai Chau province and Lai Chau city in northwestern Vietnam. And Lai Chau province is one of the most sparsely populated areas of Vietnam. I can't tell you when it was discovered or who discovered it, but I can tell you it's a looker. It's very, very cool leaves. Some of you may remember my species roundleaf. Where are you? I don't know. It's hanging out around here someplace. This has done almost as well. It seems to be a bit slower. I also got it, well, no, a month after roundleaf. Where's roundleaf? Now it's got me puzzling. Oh, it's over there. But I should have showed that to you recently. This one has done very well, though. The leaves are, as I showed you, gorgeous. They are measuring from petiole to tip, 6.5 or about 16.5 centimeters. There is a raised central rib and slightly raised side veins. There is splash. There is just variegation. It's just like, oof, that's really pretty. And it has given me no trouble. So, we're okay with that. The leaves are firm. Even the original leaves, they're firm. This one can be a little thirsty. As I said, it's got a good root system on it. So I've been trying to keep up with the moisture. When it doesn't get a good drink, you can really see the veins. It looks very dried out. But these are looking okay right now. If you happen to come across the Hoya species Lai Chau, both of them are very interesting and worth a try. It's been living over there in the fallout from my little grow shelf, and I think this one particular leaf has been getting a little bit more sun than it's used to. With the round leaf one, I moved, it was under a grow light, and I thought it looked a little pale, and I moved it out, and the leaves got gorgeously dark, and the splash shows up. So I did the same thing with this and moved it to a lower light situation, and I think it appreciates that a little bit more. No issues, no trauma, no drama. It's in pond and self-watering, and it's just done really well. I should have a picture over here of what it looked like when it first showed up. And it's a really, really pretty plant. Yes, we can have that. We can be happy with that. Yeah, no issues. This one came from Hoya on Etsy, and this is Hoya species Lai Chau longleaf. Next up here for 2 years is my Hoya species Indonesia. Now, as you can see from the map that should be running right now, Indonesia is a really big place. With Kalimantan, we have Sumatra, Java, Bali, Sulawesi, Maluku, we have Papua. There's a lot of different landmasses and islands that comprise that archipelago. So that's all I can tell you. I can't point to a spot and say it is from there. But what I can do is point to a leaf and say, that's gorgeous. That's really, really pretty. And they're all splashy to some degree. And it has done fairly well. The big leaves are running from petiole to tip, 7 inches or 18 centimeters. This large one down here is, 7 inches. For the larger leaves, it seems 7 inches. So, it's done very well. It just hung out for a while. It was a few leaves. I should have a picture, maybe, if I'm lucky, of what it looked like when it first showed up. And it just hung out. It didn't do much of anything. I was kind of in the, okay, do it, I'm not going to stress over you, do whatever you need to do. And I finally moved it into pond and self-watering. Yes, and it's got a nice little root system. And it lives in my southeast facing window, so it gets a little bit of early morning sun, which is why most of the leaves are facing this way, because that's the side that faces the window. Can I get that out of there without causing any? Maybe. These leaves are rigid. They will not take to that stupid thing. Come on. Oh, okay. The one drawback to these trellises is that if you get a leaf growing inside, it can get wedged in there. As you saw with my, like this one, that's growing through the trellis, with my clemensiorum too. But this is done very well. It's gotten happy. It likes that location. And it has just started putting out, well, this is a new vine, one long new vine that's easily 4 feet, which is 120 centimeters, something like that. So I have to do, I have to do something with this shortly. This will do in the interim. But it's done well. Again, no trauma, no drama, no problems, splashy leaves that are rigid. They're not going to bend. Even the newer leaves are not going to bend. They'll snap if you try and bend them. They're all just beautiful. Yeah, it's given me no issues. It's very pretty. If anybody knows anything more about where species Indonesia, this species Indonesia, may be native to or who discovered it, that would be very cool. But if you come across it, it's a very pretty plant. It's very, very pretty. This one came from Hala Hoya on Etsy, and this is Hoya species Indonesia. Now the question for the comments. First up, thank you to everyone who took the time and trouble to comment on last week's question about what was your first Hoya. The usual cast of characters, it was carnosas and pubicalix, and those are both great plants. So, and they're forgiving. They're sturdy and they're forgiving, which is why they're good first plants. So yeah, that was really cool. And I love a good Hoya story. When folks tell me about, this is a cutting from my grandmother's Hoya, and she'd had it for 40 years, and I've had it for 20 years. That's just great. That's wonderful. So the question for the comments this week is, what is your favorite way of rooting Hoya cuttings? There's like a gazillion different ways of rooting them, and everybody has their favorite, whether it's, my cling film or pond and self-watering, however you like. Well, everyone tends to like what gives them the best success. So tell me what method or methods you use to root your Hoyas. And that kind of stuff, when everybody shares some information like that, can sometimes be helpful to other people who might not have thought of a certain method and go, oh, I should try that. That could work for me. So yeah, in the comments below, tell me about your preferred method of rooting Hoya cuttings, and we'll see what we can find out from that. And as always, I want to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me this week's end. Please remember to click the thumbs up like button, to subscribe to the channel, and to click the notification bell. They all help YouTube promote my channel. A lot of the products that you may have seen me use are available through my Amazon storefront. There's a link in the description. As an Amazon storefront, I receive a small commission on the sales of items through the storefront. And it's a nice way of helping support the channel, and it doesn't increase your price whatsoever. If you're in the market for grow lights, I have a relationship with Sansi. I've been very happy with their grow lights. And if you use my code, PLANTEDINRI, you'll get a 30% discount from the prices on the site. If you'd like to support the channel directly, there's a link in the description to my Buy Me a Coffee page. Or there's a thanks button down here that YouTube manages for me. Links to a couple more videos you might enjoy over here on the side, and please enjoy the rest of your week's end.